Today we are going to be learning about Spanish conquistadors. You can sort of see the word conqueror, and conquistadors, and that's what these Spanish conquistadors did. They came to the New World and conquered. So we're going to be looking today, using Spanish conquistadors as an example, at how exploration, colonization, and conquest impacted the economies or wealth of countries like England, France, Portugal, the Netherlands, and Spain. All of these countries participated in this age of exploration. So how did exploration, colonization, and conquest change those countries' economies? We're also going to be looking at how Europeans transformed the cultures of the new territories that they conquered in the New World. And then also, we'll be looking at the impact the Europeans had on the native people of America. And there were a lot of Europeans who came to the New World. Today we're using Spanish conquistadors as an example. We'll be doing this by watching a video. As you watch the video, you're going to be taking notes. So I'd like you to please take out a piece of paper or in your notebook, divide that whole page into fourths, and then give each fourth the titles you see here. So in the upper left quadrant, you'll write, how did Pizarro and Cortez contribute to the economy of their countries? In the upper right quadrant, you're going to write, how did Pizarro and Cortez transform the cultures of their new territories? In the bottom left quadrant, how did Pizarro and Cortez impact the native people of the New World? And then finally, how did Pizarro and Cortez impact the world in ways still evident today? So please pause the video, take a few minutes, set up your paper, write down each heading, and when you're done, start the video again. The video we're going to watch today is on Pizarro and Cortez. You are going to have to log in to watch this video, and this is MediaCast through Avon Lake Schools. The first thing you're going to do is click this movie camera. Then log in. In the search bar, you'll type Cortez and Pizarro, and then watch the video. As you watch the video, you are going to take notes. So I'll show you how to do this. Click the video camera, and that'll open a new screen for you. You're going to log into this screen just as you would log into a computer at school. This link is not going to take you directly to the movie, so you have two options here. The first thing is you could copy and paste Cortez and Pizarro into the search bar, or you can type in Cortez and Pizarro, being sure to spell correctly. Once you do that, you'll see the video pop up and press play. As you watch, it's important that you pause and take all the appropriate notes. So right now, you're going to stop this video, go to MediaCast, log in, watch the video, and take your notes. After you're done, come back to this video so we can go over your notes. Okay, once you've watched the video, your next step is to check your answers. So let's look at the answers you came up with. Your first question was, how did Pizarro and Cortez contribute to the economy of their countries? Notice the pencil here, so you are responsible for knowing this information. Well, they did this in three ways. The first way is exploration. The second way is conquest. And the third way is colonization. Both Pizarro and Cortez and all European explorers did these three steps. The first thing they did was they explored. They went to new and unidentified areas to see what was happening there, to see if there were good resources that they might want for themselves. Once they explored and found an area that they were interested in, they would go about their conquests. We know both Pizarro and Cortez did this. Cortez conquered the Aztecs. Pizarro conquered the Inca. They wanted to have what they had. For the large part, it was gold and wealth. After they explored and found a great area or location or civilization and then conquered it, they didn't just leave. Instead, they colonized. They stayed. They claimed that area for the country who funded them. In Pizarro and Cortez's situation, it was Spain. And they made that part that they conquered part of Spain through colonization. That means they paid taxes. They sent back resources and goods to Spain. So now Spain itself owns land across the sea. This contributes to the economy of their country because all the resources and wealth that these areas had, like the Aztec and the Incas, then went back to Spain. And so countries like Spain or other countries who also participated in this, like England, France, the Netherlands, all became very, very wealthy through things like the gold, the wealth. An interesting thing that comes out of the Aztec Empire that makes Spain very wealthy is chocolate. And so the economies improve. These countries become very wealthy. Your second question is, how did Pizarro and Cortez transform the cultures of their new territories? Well, they changed the culture dramatically. The first thing each of these men did was change the government. And so they took away the leader of the Aztec and the Incas and replaced that leader with a European style of government. And what they actually replaced them with is something similar to what we have in the United States. They put Spanish governors in charge. These governors administered the areas that they conquered, but were also under Spanish rule. And so they answered to the Spanish king and queen. They changed the religion. If you go to these areas that were conquered by Pizarro and Cortez, you'll find that they were very Catholic areas today. And that's because Spain is a Catholic country. And so the religion, the pagan religion that the Aztec and the Incas believed in were removed. People were no longer allowed to pray to Aztec or Inca gods. Instead, they were forced to convert to Catholicism. If they chose not to, well, you can guess that they would have had very serious consequences. The Aztec and the Inca language were also phased out and replaced by Spanish. So the Aztec Empire is in what's Mexico today. If you go to Mexico today, you're not brushing up on your ancient Aztec. You're going to practice speaking your Spanish. And that's because Spain conquered that area and infused their language into those people. And so now Spanish is the language spoken in Mexico, where the Aztec Empire was. And the same thing happened with the Inca. Their language is replaced with Spanish. And then finally, culture. All the things that make you you is what your culture is. It's the way you dress, it's the food you eat, it's the holidays you celebrate. All these things were taken away from the Native Americans and replaced with European-style culture. And so Native Americans were forced to behave and dress and accept European culture as their own. Your third question was, how did Pizarro and Cortez impact the native people of the New World? Well, the first thing they did was they weakened their culture. They weakened their culture through warfare and disease. The disease was not necessarily the fault of the Europeans to begin with. Native Americans had not been subjected to diseases of the New World, such as smallpox, which means they had no immunity to these diseases. And so when the diseases hit them, they were wiped out by the millions. This caused the natives to be much weakened and easier to conquer. Once they conquered them, after they weakened the culture, they forced the Native Americans to accept European culture. As they were weakened by warfare and disease, they were had less of a way of defending themselves against it and accepted the European culture more readily. And then finally, how did Pizarro and Cortez impact the world in ways still evident today? Well, we saw this especially with the Aztec when we talked about Cortez marrying Doña Maria. The Aztec and Incas are wiped out. They're pretty much non-existent because they start to intermingle and marry with Europeans. And so in Cortez's case, marrying an Aztec woman, he produces a son, and that son is technically your first Mexican. You have a whole brand new culture emerging with a blend of European, Spanish, and later African people coming together and creating a whole new group of people. And then finally, we can see this today as well through trade. And tomorrow we'll go deeper into the Columbian Exchange. But essentially, and we mentioned this yesterday, once the Europeans start trading with the New World, the Old World and the New World are connected forever. And they're never, ever, ever going to stop trading their goods and resources. And this is something that we still see today. Hope this was helpful and informative going over your answers. Please make sure you have all of these in your notes along with what you took during the movie. Thank you. Have a great day.